This week on Women Who Rise, I'm joined by Michelle Martin, realtor, team leader, speaker, and one of eXp Realty's most trusted voices on what it really takes to build a business with structure, intention, and staying power. Michelle has helped nearly 1,000 families buy and sell homes, but what makes her perspective so powerful is the way she teaches women to stop glorifying busyness and start building with mindset, habits, and systems that actually scale. In this episode, we talk about the hidden cost of unstructured ambition, what it looks like to lead before you feel fully ready, and how to create a business that supports your life instead of consuming it. If you've been craving growth that feels both ambitious and aligned, this is an episode you will not want to miss. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Rise. I'm your host, Heather Mansy. Today, I'm joined by Michelle Martin, a Florida-based realtor with eXp Realty, team leader of White Lotus Group, and one of the standout educators helping agents rethink how they build sustainable success. Since entering real estate in 2015, Michelle has helped nearly 1,000 families buy and sell homes while also growing into a respected coach, speaker, and 2025 eXp Educator of the Year, known for her focus on mindset, habits, systems, and intentional leadership. She's also a leader within the eXp Military Network, bringing a grounded, service-minded perspective to the way she mentors others and builds community. This conversation matters because Michelle doesn't just talk about growth in business. She talks about building a business that actually gives you your life back. And I'm so excited to hear her wisdom. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. What a great intro. I love it.
I'm so happy that you're pleased. So I kind of want to jump right in. We talked a little bit about what your mission is, who you are. I mean, huge bona fides, really extraordinary. So I want to know how that occurred, right? So let's go back to the beginning. When you think back to the version of you who entered real estate in 2015, what did that season teach you about discipline, service, and resilience that still shapes the way you lead White Lotus Group today?
Oh gosh. So in 2015, I started my career as a new military spouse. So my husband had been in the military for a couple years. We went to a brand new location in the Florida Panhandle. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know anybody. I was brand new. I just got in I wanted to learn how to real estate. So I got a job at a real estate office for 10 whole dollars an hour. And it was 45 minutes away from home. So that was what I was using to pay for the daycare. Right. So I wasn't even actually making any money. Right. Because that was it. Like that money was going straight to daycare. But I got there and I got so excited because I started seeing all the commission checks, right, from all the agents. I was like, and then so I started getting my license really fast. 30 days later, boom, I had my license. And
Wow.
yeah, like I was super motivated. And so that was the first time I ever really had to sit down and because I had been a stay-at-home mom for a little while and my kids were born. They were 1 and 2 at the time. And then but this is the first time where I had to juggle a lot of things, right? I had that full-time job. I had my new home that we were, getting everything ready for. I had my 2 kids, but then I was like, where do I find the time to do this real estate license? Well,
Mhm.
if you know me, you know me. I do not like getting up early in the morning. And that's what I did. I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I would spend an hour in the morning for a little bit before I had to get the kids ready and take them to daycare. And then in the evening after they would go to bed, again, just the discipline to sit there and work on that class because I'm like, this $10 an hour. And I was
Yeah.
just so like excited, right? I'm like, I have to get this license now. So, and that's why it only took me 30 days because I was just focused, hyper focused, disciplined to find the time to do it no matter what and to do it as fast as I could. Um, Yeah.
And
Gosh, like,
yeah,
it's
and
funny you asked me
uh,
that because I
oh,
hadn't thought about that in forever. I'm like, "Yeah."
yeah, it's amazing because, you don't remember. It's almost like,
Yeah,
thinking back, you realize what you really went through. And when I think, an hour in the morning and an hour at night, certainly with 2 busy, toddlers running around the house, you must have been, quite exhausted.
for
Was
sure.
there a specific moment when you realized, that you were not just meant to sell homes actually as an agent, kind of fast forwarding a few years, but to build something bigger through coaching, education, and leadership inside EXP? And how did that model fit you in terms of, wherever you started as a brokerage and then where you ended up and are thriving today?
Yeah, so, oof, it was a process. It wasn't a just something clicked and I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. It's a process. So over the course of my career, I've had two teams. So the first one I built on my own at my former company, and I didn't know what I didn't know. I
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure it out. I went to lots of classes, read lots of books, and I did the best I could at the time with the information that I had. And I realized that I was good at some things, not good at other things. But what I was stuck with me through that was I just love to help the agent, right? So the agents that I got to help, I I just loved watching their little light bulbs go off and just like, wow, I get it. And I loved watching them like succeed and get contracts and get closings. And that just like filled my heart, right? Where I didn't do well was like the structure of it all, right? Like that's the honestly, like I could teach an agent how to agent all day long, but that structure of the team is the hard part. So
Yeah.
fast forward, that didn't work out. Rebuilt a new team with a partner, much more streamlined, right? Like experience is everything. And still the
Mhm.
same gratification happened, right? I was like, oh, I just love doing this. And that team actually allowed me to step all the way out of production. So I did get to focus on the ops and the development of the agents and everything. So I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I want to do. And then so when I sold that team, I came to EXP shortly after, and I became a mentor and everything just started to snowball a little bit. I got the opportunity to teach fast cap. And so
Oh,
it
yeah.
just, the more I do it, the more I'm like, oh, I just love it. Like I finished the class and I'm just, I don't know. It's just the best feeling. So it's been a gradual process of just realizing, yep, I love this. I love this. Let's keep doing this more. Right.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it sounds like, I mean, you can kind of hear your energy. It's sounds like Fast Cap, it's really fueling you, and other methods of teaching these agents. This is something that's filling your cup and it gives you energy. And this is something when we talk about what is a dream job really, I think the difference, one of the big differences we can look at is where's your energy going or where it's coming from. And
Yeah.
people can play with their kids, that would energize them. They can have a great vacation, that would energize them. Maybe they have a really good rewarding workout or something that can energize them. Maybe they do something, one of their favorite hobbies, that can energize them. But people don't often think of work as something that can energize you or that should. And in
Right.
fact, it's kind of a hidden secret that in this industry, depending on where you are, what you're doing, with relation to either clients or helping agents, it can really fuel you. You can be exhausted and yet somehow have more feeling of positive energy by the end of the day, at the end of it. So you teach agents to build and run their business like real businesses, not just chase the next transaction. What was one hard season that forced you to move from that hustle into true structure that caused you to kind of shift how you look at just chasing those deals versus running your even solo real estate as a true business person?
Yeah, so the biggest shift that occurred again wasn't like a it was a series of little things that happened over a couple of years, but it was around that time where I had that team that I built alone and like COVID, right? Like around that time. And then
Yeah.
so what happened was that I was hustling like hard, and I ate, breathed, lived real estate, right? And I was every once in a while, like little things would happen, right? Like I'm like, oh, I just wasn't that present on a vacation. Like when my husband got back from deployment, I kind of didn't pay a lot of attention to him when we went on a trip together, right? I was like on my phone, no bueno, right? Um,
Yeah.
We went on a trip overseas, same thing. I just kind of wasn't present. So it's little things like that would happen. But then in 2018, my dad passed away from cancer. And
Mm.
it started to hit me that I actually didn't even have time to grieve that. And also during the time that all that was happening, I had a brief moment where, like, when I got that call that, hey, there's nothing else we can do, we don't know how much time he has left, kind of thing. Crazy enough, I was at an award ceremony getting an award for my production for the year. And so I stepped outside, took that call. And later that day, I'm like talking to my husband, like, hey, we gotta get down to Miami. That's where my dad was. And but I started making excuses as to, well, but I'm kind of busy. Like, I don't think my team can handle all the work, and the company convention's next week. Maybe I should go to that. And you just started making a lot of excuses. And then the moment that, like, in hindsight now, the moment that I think about that was the worst, like the lowest point, is when I thought to myself, oh, maybe I can go to that convention and then he'll still be alive when I get back. And it's just how awful, right? Like, just even repeating it is just, it's an awful thing to think. And thankfully I didn't go to the convention. I did go home and hang out with my dad, but that was like the turning point. From that point on, it was
Yeah,
like things started to change. A couple years later, COVID happened, and then life paused for a second, and all of a sudden all
yeah,
of those emotions, I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to end up like that. I'm not healthy. I'm not paying attention to my family. I don't want to end up alone. I don't want to end up in the hospital. Like, I'm not taking care of myself. Maybe I'll get cancer. Maybe I'll die.
yeah,
That's not it all of us, but it started at that moment, right? Like right when he passed, and it just started changing. And that 2020 was the literal slap in the face that was like, you have to change now. So around that time, I got rid of the team. I was working solo. I said, foundations is the most important thing in my business. So I hired a coach, and she's like, where do you want to be in 5 years? And I said, I want to be financially independent. And so we started working towards that. It was the first time that I really sat there and I worked with a purpose, not just worked for accolades and more sales and more, 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 more. It was like, now I'm working with not a finish line per se, but with a goal, with an objective. And that has built the foundation of what I like to teach agents, right? Because a lot of times with agent training, it's like, go, 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 like, do open houses, do this, do that, do that. And yes. And sometimes when you do all of that, you'll just go running crazy towards nothing. And you might
mhm,
find yourself burnt out, or you're running crazy towards something and maybe it's not working out with real estate. So you quit, so like a lot of things
yeah.
could happen if there's no reason or purpose to get there, no foundation that you've built. And that right there is the lesson, like how I learned that lesson. And that is why I'm so passionate about teaching that particular part of the process to the agent.
Yeah, I love that. Perfect. And, first of all, I just want to say, I'm sorry for the passing of your father. And, regardless of how busy we are, life is still going to keep happening on the outside. And I think it's just a strong reminder that we've got to be able to stop and take notice and create those moments or that space, that even a mental or emotional space to deal with it. Like you said, you felt you didn't even have time, to grieve and that people don't realize this also can be, and many jobs can be so overwhelming that you're just kind of running forward and you're so in the moment that you're not being able to separate yourself. I love what you said about foundations and the fact that this made you really think about your whole self and also about looking at your career as a trajectory to get somewhere and not just
Mhm,
as something to produce in the moment and get those
mhm,
accolades because you already had them. You already knew you could produce at a high level. Now it was how can you get the life that you desire with the expertise that you had. And I think
right.
strategically calling that coach was an amazing thing that you did. You helped shape your leadership voice when you were learning how to balance high performance with service and, when that happened, what did you take from those things that still shows up in how you mentor agents now, and how they learn to balance these things?
So I'm and it's crazy because I say it now and it makes it seem like it's just a decision you make at the moment. But I use the example of like working out, right? So it's all habits. little bitty
Yeah.
habits and things that you do on the regular that eventually develop into a discipline. And it's the discipline to do XYZ, whatever it is, right? So if we use the working out example, that was something I wanted to do. I said, I need to be a healthier person because I want to be around for my kids. I want to be young and like feel young, right? And like, just want to feel good. And so that was my physical health that I needed to work on. And I guess by default, you also work on your mental health when you work on your physical health. So I said,
Yeah.
okay, well, when do I do this? Right. And then so I thought, well, I don't have time during the day because I'm working. So I'm going to go at 5 o'clock in the morning to work out. Well, that lasted about a month with a trainer. And I said, I'm not doing that anymore. This is awful. Right. And then so, but it took me a long time to even do it. And then when I did it, I was like, well, this isn't working out. And then I was like, boo, this sucks. Right. Like you start feeling down on yourself. Then you wake up the courage to try again. And I said, I'm going to get a treadmill at home. No, because that's not so I tried that for a little bit. So it's like a process of figuring out like what
Yes.
works for you and mentally training yourself to decide to do that thing. And it's not instant at all. And then so
Yeah.
what ended up happening was I finally literally a couple of years later was like, I'm so sick of this. And I realized some of the ways that I tried it were good and some were bad. So I said, okay, the trainer was good. The time of the day was bad. The type of training was not good. I need to change, so I picked the little bits and I said, I'm going to hire a trainer. I'm going to pay them up front because it's one thing I hate is wasting money. So I paid them for
Okay.
24 sessions up front, right? So I just bit that bullet and I said, I'm going to go at 8 because, and even if from 8 to 10 is the time that I spent at the gym. And most people would say, oh no, but that's, your work time and this and this. I'm like, that's the way I structured my schedule.
Yeah.
Later in the day, I will do something else. Like I am choosing that schedule because that's what works for me. I would rather work a little bit more in the afternoon, right? And I'm intentional about the rest of my day as well. I don't waste any time. So, but it
Yes.
took a long time to get there. And then so that's just one example, right? Because I could use the same thing for lead generation. Well, what time of the day works best for me to lead generate? Most people will tell you, oh, just get it out of the way in the morning, 9 to 12. Well, that doesn't work with what I just said, right? And then
Hmm.
so I'm going to do it when it works best for me. As long as I get it done, it doesn't matter at that point, right? And so that's the lesson I teach people. I say, please do not, because I did this. I copied other agents and I said, well, they're successful and they do this, and they run their team that, but they are them and I am me.
Yeah.
And so it
Yes.
wasn't working. So what is the way that my business and my life is going to work for me? And I also tell people, you know what? During the school year, when my kids are at school, my schedule looks one way. When they get out of school, my schedule looks a different way because I have to adjust. Now I'm hanging out with them because I've decided what's a priority for me. Yes, I have to work, but my health is a priority. So that's why I would choose to work out in the morning instead of lead generate. Because I also tried to work out in the evening and that wasn't working out
Yeah.
either. So
Yes.
because I would quit working to do it. So gosh, but it's just a process, right? I had to get myself to do it, get myself out of the funk when it wouldn't work, then get myself back in and figure out when it worked and manage the calendar and all of that. So with that and everything that had to do with work, it's just a process of learning that that right there is what I teach new agents with every single way. Because a lot of agents will say, well, how do you, I don't have time or I have a second job or, like, how do I do it? I homeschool my kids. I had a mentee say I homeschool my kids. And I'm like, okay, it's time management, my love. Like that's it. Everything you're trying to figure out is how you manage your time at the end of the day. What is a priority? And you do that first, period.
I love it. Yeah, so good. And by the way, we're all human. Like you said, you've got to be able to go through that process, understanding if it doesn't work the first time, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means that that process may not be the right fit for you.
Right.
And I think this can be true for so many things. It can be true for jobs, relationships, for agents, it can be brokerages. It's a process to figure out what is the right fit. And a right fit may change. Like you mentioned, your kids, they've got that 9 month school schedule. So when they're out, obviously you're modifying your schedule again. And
Right.
this, many jobs will never let you do that. And so the fact that real estate does give us that autonomy is why I think moms, it tends to be a very dominant mom career because it's the one where it has the most flexibility for it to work for them. I remember, on our team, we literally said, okay, when do you guys want to do your calling? And I said, we're going to come in here, we're going to do it in the morning. We kind of understood that we needed to give ourselves some group accountability, but I had them vote on the time because me as manager, my kids are grown, but I've got multiple moms on my team. Theirs are in school and they needed to, so they picked that morning time. And who knows, that may change in 5 years or something for them. So your content, consistently points back to mindset, habits, and systems. Which of those has been the most transformational in your own rise? And how did you learn to trust it enough to teach it?
It's all the mindset. I started getting to the point in my career where I realized like I can sell, I can produce, I know how to lead generate, I know how to run the business, it's fine. But where I was failing sometimes, you know, was in mindset related issues, feeling
Yeah,
down, feeling overwhelmed, feeling, and all, and you could say, oh, I feel this way. And then you figure out, okay, well, I feel that way because I'm not managing my time, this and that and the third, right? But it's like affecting me. At the end of the day, the problem is sure, maybe it's a time management thing, but that's a mindset issue. Oh, but maybe it's I'm not learning how to say no to things. I'm taking on too many clients. I'm not, you know, anything you could think of at the end of the day just boils right back down to your mind because I could
yeah,
choose to say no to this and I don't
yeah,
because I'm in a scarcity mindset. Just as an example, at the end of the day, it's all back to that. Oh, I feel bad because I didn't work out today because I didn't create enough time on my schedule, da 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 da. Well, that feeling bad, the fact that I didn't do it, it's all a mindset issue. It's like, well,
mhm,
I felt that something else was more important at the time because something's not right, mindset issue. So I realized for an agent long term, in my opinion, to be successful in this business, or I guess you could even apply this to entrepreneurship in general, is
yeah,
you have to have a strong mind. You have to have peace. You have to work on your physical health, which is obviously like mentally good for you as well. You have to learn when to turn it off. Like you have to decide in your mind to turn it off. Otherwise, you will go to sleep thinking about it all the time. And then so how can you it's like a constant, how can I structure my day to the point where I feel good about turning it off and I'm not stressed out because something's missing or something's
yeah.
not done, right? And then so I started building my schedule and my life and everything like that around that concept. I need to make it so that when this time hits that I've decided that it's off. When I'm on vacation, it's off because the biggest stressor I had was myself. It was myself just stressing out
Yeah.
about how about being off. Like this is not getting done. This is not happening fast enough. It was me. It was all in my
Yes.
own mind. That's it. And I
Wow.
feel like a lot of times people will leave the business due to this when it honestly could have just been a matter of let's figure out our priorities and let's figure out our structure. Let's figure out what we need to say no to.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of problems are solved right there. That's it.
100%. So well said. And I love this because I don't think I've had a guest yet really talk about that exact issue. We talk about having a better mindset all the time, but the fact that, literally just that mental either criticism or reworking everything or allowing things to affect you, those are not automatic. We may think of them as automatic, but there's a part of us that's choosing to allow those thoughts to continue. And
Yeah.
just the fact that you pointed that out, I think is fantastic because we do have a choice. Sometimes, one of the agents in my team will say, "Okay, this terrible day situation happened," and I'll say, "Great, give yourself a limited amount of time." That you choose to have that pity party or whatever, go, literally scream into a closet or something, not next to someone making a phone call to a client, hopefully, but
Right.
actually engage with your emotions about that issue and then let it go and make a conscious choice to embrace however you feel and then let it go. But you dove even deeper to say, you really have to realize what it is. And I love the fact you talked about structure because if you are structuring your day in a certain way to give you the best success, and you know which parts of your day are really bothering you or that you feel you are shortchanging, you can actually choose a different recipe, a different plan that will
Yeah.
give you more of a good feeling about what you wanted yourself to accomplish every day.
Yep.
If you've got a kid getting bad grades, you're probably going to set some sort of a study schedule for them in order to buckle down and be able to have something better occur in those grades. And yet, as adults, we just maybe take life as it comes, and we're forgetting that we can modify. What were you going to say?
Well, so first of all, my coach told me the same thing a couple of times. She, whenever she would call me and I'm just having a situation, she'd say, "Okay, you got 5 minutes to tell me about what's wrong and have a pity party, and then after that, we're done and we're going to continue with the call." So it was so funny. But
Yeah,
see, here's
yeah,
the thing: when I talk to people about time blocking, right? I say, "Okay, sit down with a clear mind in silence and look at your calendar and map out your perfect day." I talk about personal stuff first and then business stuff. Map out your perfect day, your perfect week, put it on auto repeat on your calendar, right? On your Gmail calendar, whatever. And then
yes,
later during the
so
week,
good.
when you look at this and you've decided that whatever that says on the calendar, you're not going to do for whatever reason, you have to understand that what you're telling yourself is, well, it's on my calendar because I've prioritized it and decided it was important. But for some reason, right now, I'm letting myself down. I am lying to myself. I am prioritizing something else. Why is that happening? Why am I allowing that to happen? And we do this to ourselves, and it's awful because, like, another example I use is your kid. You have a kid, right? Or like, even if you don't have a kid, like somebody else's kid. Nobody wants to hurt a kid's feelings, right? So you tell said kid, "Hey, we're gonna go to Disney World," and you get them all pumped up, like, "Yeah, we're going to Disney," and all of a sudden you're like, "Actually, sorry, we cannot." You would never do that. Like, that would be so awful, right? Poor little kid would totally cry.
Yeah,
But why do we do that kind of thing to ourselves? You've decided on your calendar that that's important. And you are literally doing that to yourself and then probably complaining about it later. Like, oh, I didn't work out, but your calendar said to. So what was it that was so much more important than that at that moment? And was it really?
yes,
And how can we prevent that from happening again? It's like a constant cycle of all of this. Honestly, that happens all the time with people. It's like, let's just stop. Like, don't. And it's hard. It's so hard. I'm like, as a person who goes through it still, it is very hard. But at the end of it, like when you break it down like that, you're like, man, this feels kind of dumb. Like I'm just repeating the same thing over and over. Why won't I quit? It's mental. It's all mindset. Like
it
you do it
yeah,
to yourself until you choose not to.
yeah. Yeah, I love this so much. Yeah. And look, how many patterns and things do we repeat in life that people embrace this idea of like 75 hard. I'm doing the 75 hard challenge, right? And I've seen people absolutely completely change their body, their life, their mind, because they said for 75 days, I'm gonna do something very different with my health and mindset and read a book and do all these things. And by the end of it, they're reporting these stellar results. And then they go back to
Yeah.
life. They go back to life as usual. And it's interesting. They may pick up some new habits, but they will literally go back to the life that led them to do 75 hard in the first place, which was that it wasn't really working. So it's like you say, we
Right.
go through these phases. But if you take a person who's really high up in, say people on this show that are really high up in success in life, the biggest thing they've mastered is their mindset and their personal discipline. They have mastered it to a high level. And in fact, they're always still working on it because they always know that there's
Yeah.
something that, they could improve. But the biggest thing is that they're really rigorous with themselves around their work schedule, around their personal time and how much they enjoy that time, how meaningfully they take vacations or spend time with their spouse or whatever. So you're pointing to something that I think is just so important, which is look, we're always going to be evolving, but we've got to be able to work on that mindset and that self discipline. I love the way you put it. You're lying to yourself. If you really do think that that would be an amazing schedule for you, why not do it? Because in the end,
Right.
I think it's Mel Robbins who said, I think it's Mel Robbins who said, look, guys, if you're waiting to get motivated to go on a walk in the cold weather in the morning in the wintertime, that's never going to happen. You can't wait for the
Right.
emotion that desires to do that activity to strike you. It's in fact the discipline to just put your shoes on, the planning to put the shoes by the bed or whatever, so that you really almost have to step into those workout shoes and just propel
Right.
yourself out the door into that cold weather or whatever it is for you, whatever that planned workout is. And then you'll actually start feeling really good during or after the activity. The reward comes later,
Exactly.
and
Yes.
we are waiting for ourselves to feel inspired to work out, and
Yeah.
it's going to happen sometimes, or inspired to make those calls or have that tough conversation with a client or feel brave enough. And in fact, you'll actually feel brave after you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. You feel
Oh,
good after though.
I love it.
That mental like reward after to help you build that habit happens after. You have to just get yourself to do it so you can later like the oh, that felt great. Kind of like you eat the cookie and then a moment you're like, this is great. But then later you're like, that was not great. Right. So like you do the thing you know you're supposed to do. You get the good
Yeah.
feeling out of it. And then you just know next time you will get the good feeling and you try to keep going. It's so the book Atomic Habits, one of my favorite
Yes.
books. And it's all
Okay.
about this exactly. And I just honestly master this, the art of building a habit and that portion of the mindset game, and you are just eons ahead of everybody else right there just with that.
I love that so much. I literally just made a note for that because I'm going to do, some wrap up comments for our audience after we always do. And audience, don't forget, we're going to be doing a worksheet for you so that you can actually put these principles that she's talking about to work in your own life. And we'll do that after the show. But so well said. Um, who helped shape your leadership voice when you were learning how to balance your high performance and that service? Who helped create how you would later show up on stages or teaching classes or mentoring agents?
Several people in different ways because I feel like when you're in a different season, you need a different person or a different coach or something like that. So I would say the very first one was the first real coach, and it's funny because she wasn't my first coach, but she was the first coach that I said I need someone who's going to literally kick my butt when I was requesting a coach. And I was like, because if she's not going to kick my butt, I'm not going to take her seriously. I'm going to walk all over her, which is what I did to the first coach. So she certainly kicked my butt. We coached for 5 years together. So she absolutely like taught me a lot of these principles, the whole like let's stop with the pity party thing, like we got to go, and she helped me build those systems and get me really operationally savvy. uh so I
Yes.
credit her to that. And then when I started shifting into okay, I want to teach and everything like that, I've always been a big proponent of just being myself. It because I have trouble being, and I don't want this to sound no type of way, but I have trouble being like stuffy. And so if you notice, like this is my personality. So this is exactly how I come out on stage. This is exactly how I talk to people. I'm just very like human to human. And so
Yeah.
who's taught me how to present like specifically on stage in a way that is going to be me, but also still hit like the point, right? The whole point of me speaking is still going to hit was Renee
Yeah.
Rodriguez. He blew my ever loving mind at EXPCon 2024. That was the first time I ever saw him. And then I got his book right away, which is called Amplify Your Influence. And I went to his workshop that he hosts, I think monthly at his home, called the Amplify Workshop. And it's about delivering your message, delivering your story. And, because the whole don't and just all of that structure extremely helpful, but also yes, and how do I still be me? How do they still how can I still be myself and people get attracted to myself instead of like a fake persona, right? So I feel like that's the
Yes.
message I got from him, how to amplify my personal influence in a way that hits. So he gave me that like professional portion of it that I didn't have yet, which I'm super thankful for. And obviously I'm still working on. It's not perfect. But
Yeah.
yeah, and then just with my experience with EXP University and just literal experience and coaching with Brian, who's the chief learning officer, just keep giving me some tips when I first started teaching FastCap has been instrumental. And it's a constant learning process, right? And you get feedback and you improve and you work on yourself constantly. It's the only way to be, right? I try to always put myself in a room where I am not the smartest person in there because I want to soak up all the knowledge and the juice from everyone else, like all the energy, right? So yeah, it's been several people. And and I also had a very inspiring conversation in Cabo with Veronica when I was there. I was just like, Veronica, I want to get from here to
Veronica
here, like
Figueroa. Yeah.
Figueroa. Yeah. Like I want to get from here to here. Like, what do I do? What do I do? And then she gave me some serious advice that blew my mind as well. So, I mean, I just have EXP in general has really changed my life with the kind of
Yeah.
people I've been able to surround myself with and the kind of opportunities that have presented themselves. And honestly, I tell the story like a lot of times I just ask, like, hey,
Yeah.
I ask for an opportunity? I ask for help. I ask, and people like allow you the opportunity, which is wild. So it's just just ask, but like I can't even pick one person. It's been so many people who've just poured into me, and even from like a little bit of advice to full on training, like just so many people have been so supportive of me. I can't even tell you. I'm sure I'm missing people, so I'm so sorry if I'm missing you.
Yeah.
But
I
so
love
many.
that because, yeah, this fact that you've been able to be inspired by and tap into so many people, and also just the inner wisdom you have for the fact that you've been reaching out, the fact that you have been brave enough to ask for opportunities to teach, to learn, to speak, to
Yeah.
grow. And the fact that, yeah, I mean, you found a place. I have said quite often to people that EXP does not feel like a place of gatekeepers. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a place that's clicky. It feels very much like, come and let's all share and just figure this out. And let's all help each other get a leg up. And I think it's extraordinary. Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. They say where the pros go to grow. And when you're
Oh,
surrounded by
100%.
professionals, they have they have the opposite of what you mentioned earlier, a scarcity mindset. They have an abundance mindset because they're seeing abundance, they're creating abundance, they are abundance. And so people who are abundant are willing to share. And in fact, they have a great place to share from because they've learned how to do things through the school of hard knocks, through having coaches like like you mentioned, whatever it is. And so that creates a generosity. And I definitely have seen it in the couple years that, I've had, I guess, 2.5 years, my team here. It is extraordinary to see that level of sharing and just openness with those opportunities. And I think it should remind our audience, ask, ask for what you want in life. Be bold, be brave, step out of whatever that comfort is, and realize you're not ever going to be ready. Just ask. And in the process, you'll figure it out. Someone will help you.
The other thing I want
Uh,
to add is it's only just the
yeah,
ask, it's also the serving. Because a lot of the asking came around service mindset as well. I had a lot of
yeah,
opportunities to just give my time and give my service, and I always say this. I'm like, give good juju, and then good juju will come back, right? So I like when I first got into with EXP Latino, I said, let me help you guys check people into your event at EXPCon. I didn't know anybody, and they were like, oh, if you help us do that, we'll give you free dinner. I said, perfect. But then I got in there and I networked and everything like that. The next day, I got into connection with Rebecca, who's the leader. And that opened my door for Fast Cap. So I'm telling you, it's like it's service, like service, service,
yeah.
service. Whenever you have an opportunity to serve, you serve. Serve because the good juju that you put out will absolutely come back to you. So serve and ask, serve and ask. That's it.
I love it. So well said. And I could not be, more of a proponent of the same thing. It's absolutely service will give you so much reward, and then people will realize you're a person of value and contribution, and they will want to have more of you in the room. So you've talked about building a business that gives you your life back. How did you learn to create success in a way that still honors your identity as a wife, mom, and leader?
So how did I learn to build that success? Eh, with my time management, because there really is only 24 hours in a day. And you need to take care of yourself first and foremost. Like for me, you have to take care of yourself. If I am not operating at the highest level, then I have nothing to pour. Like my cup is not full. I cannot pour from my cup into others, right? And so I focus on taking care of myself. And I really over the years have identified like what exactly is my priority, and it isn't to sell more, and it isn't to just make money willy nilly. It's to make money for a very specific purpose. So I plan a lot into the future. A lot of my friends think I'm insane, but I have spreadsheets for all kinds of things. And, I said, okay, well, traveling is a big priority. So we've worked that into our schedule where like in the summertime when the kids are off of school, that's the time to do it. And yes, that's the time when real
Yeah.
estate sales like to happen. But guess what? I only have, and I count this on my spreadsheet, a certain amount of summers left with my kids. So I said, there's plenty of
Yes.
time for me to sell when my kids are out of the home. Right now, it's time for me to make memories with my kids, even if it feels
Yeah.
like a slowdown, even if it feels like a step back. But I had to decide to prioritize that. I had to decide, like, wait a minute, this is important. So with my time management, like last summer, for example, we spent 31 days between here and Japan and South Korea, like just traveling there and back. Super. And when you're over there, you're completely opposite time. So that was kind of hard. But with the right systems, the right leverage and everything with your team, like I made it so I was working the rest of the year, and so I didn't have a lot
Yes.
going on during that time. And I left my admin with plenty of work to keep her busy and things to help. Obviously things still come up and
Yes.
leads and things like that. I still had listings, but like I didn't have any active clientele on purpose because I knew that that was coming up because I planned for it.
Yeah.
It's planning, it's time management, prioritizing what's actually important to
Yeah.
design that life over time, right? Like you're not going to just disappear for 30 days right now. It started with a week, it started with two, it started with a couple of separate vacations, like over the years, you just practice it more, you get better at it, you're able to extend the trip a little longer, like planning, time management. That's what it takes to design the life that you want. You have to know what it is first of all, and then you have to go everything that you do has to be with that purpose in mind. You can't go rogue and start doing some other thing or get excited about some other thing because then you'll have your hand in a bunch of different pots. You're not prioritizing at that point, right? Like if you have too many priorities and you have none. So you got to figure out what the things are that are most important and have the discipline and the mindset to only do that. Period.
I love
Do
it.
not squirrel.
So
Do
well
not get
said.
excited about anything else. That's it. Just the
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
Focus.
Focus. Yeah. And I love the way you pointed out. Look, I mean, you can work yourself out of a job. You can refer, other clients. You can choose not to take brand new, we have a joke in the industry, right? If you need to get some business, if you're slow, go ahead and go on vacation. That's when all the clients are going to call.
Yeah.
But it's kind, it happens. In my
It does.
family, we go away for a month every summer, and I'm with you. That's when the kids are out of school. We're on their schedule, and we've started adding trips in the winter, because you pointed to something really really important, and I want to highlight that. And that is the number of summers that you have left with your kids of being in the house. There is a book, and I believe Brian Gubernick actually, who's has metrics coaching, did a TED talk on this, but it's called Life Accounts, and that's another one. We'll leave the link below, but it's literally has you go through and write out, how many days, hours, count it out on average that you have left with certain people in your life, just even in the course of your life, and also in perhaps, optimal times. Like you said, your kids are living in your house for just this sort of 18 to 20-year period total. And as you're starting to come within the last decade of that, it's like alarm bells, holy mackerel,
Yeah.
we better do something about that. And so I really love that you pointed that out because life is quite finite. And so we need to maximize that. But it's one of the jobs that, you guys can figure it out. Other realtors are happy to take your referrals while you're touring Japan or
Yeah.
whatever it is you want to do with your life. And there's a way to just choose to work really hard on other months to make sure you have the income you need to have on that year. And you can actually choose to work even harder and save up for those vacations. I think the self empowerment is
Absolutely.
massive. So I do want to ask, I know our time is getting short, for the women, for the women listening who are ambitious, but overwhelmed. What would you want that, those people to understand about the hidden cost of unstructured ambition before they burn themselves out trying to prove themselves?
I did this presentation over a few rallies, and one of the quotes that I mentioned is that the ambition that you have, which is wonderful, ambition is great. You ask a group of people, I asked every rally, who's ambitious? Every single person raised their hand, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
ambitious, but that very ambition without any kind of structure is going to cost you the very life that you are trying to build. It's going to consume you, because if your production is if your value is tied to your production, then you're going to sacrifice anything to keep it, right? So you have to decide that you are not your production. You are someone's wife, maybe you are someone's daughter, you are a mother perhaps, right? You are more than that. And nobody ever said on their deathbed, gosh, I wish I had another commission check, you know?
Yes.
So in real life, what is actually the priority, you know? And it's okay. Like, the reason sometimes we feel like we have to take all the clients and deal with all the drama and do all of this is because we're operating in scarcity. We're saying, oh, but if I
Yeah.
don't, I won't have this money. I won't have this money. So, and yes, at first, maybe if you're starting, maybe you won't have that money, right? And maybe you do feel a lot of pressure to do it. But how can we learn to shift our mindset out of that, right? Like, over time, train your brain, not right now, train your brain over time to say, okay, it's okay if I don't keep this listing or take this listing. It's okay if I do not answer this lead. A lead is calling me and I'm out on a date night. It is okay to not answer that. It is okay to do all those things. It's a mind training thing. And so if anything that I'm saying right now, any of those examples are hitting you like, man, yeah, I did answer that call on a date night, or I did answer that call or deal with that problem on a vacation when I should have been present. Forgive yourself, number one, because you're only human,
Yeah.
right? But also think to
Yeah.
yourself, what systems and processes can I put in place so that the temptation doesn't even occur again, right? How can I grow my business and change so that that doesn't happen? And also, what can I do? What content can I consume, like this podcast, for example, or a book or anything like that? What can I consume to help me train my brain to get out of that scarcity mindset? Because that's what's causing you to feel like you have to bend your boundaries. It's what it is. It's a
Absolutely.
scarcity mindset. And oh my God, have a boundary in the first place, right? Now that I said that, I was like, wait a minute, we have to establish what the boundary even is, right? Like,
Yeah.
decide when the time decide when you're not going to work. Decide when it's time for you,
Yeah.
for your family, for your friends, because you you might be like me, where you find yourself faced with the fact like, whoa, am I gonna get sick from all this stress? Is my husband gonna leave me because I'm ignoring him? Like, do I even have any friends anymore because all I do is
Yeah.
work? Like, I
Yeah.
implore you, you do not want to find yourself in that position. So take care of it now before you get figuratively slapped in the face like I did all those years ago with that like awful realization. That's the message. Like, please work on structuring your ambition now
Yeah.
when things are overall positive, so that life doesn't hit you like that, because it will at some point, right? Life is going to life at you. So just put yourself in the best position to succeed when it does.
I love it. So good. And yes, I mean, just pointing out that you can do this as you're building so that as you
Mhm.
become more and more successful and more busy, you put yourself in a position not just to be successful, but to be able to handle that success and still have the life, like you said, that you are building that you want so badly. You can't enjoy that if you can't figure out what those boundaries are. Well, so as a
Right.
last question, uh, look at what you're building through real estate, coaching, education, and the military network. What kind of legacy does Michelle hope women feel, when they've been led or taught by you? And what kind of legacy do you want to leave for the world around you because of the work that you have created and engaged in doing?
I'd like to leave a legacy professionally for women, especially because of, like, I felt a lot of mom guilt, through all this.
Yeah.
Because as moms, we're supposed to want to be there all the time with the kids and be a stay-at-home mom. Like, it's supposed to be awesome, right? I had that opportunity once and I'm like, I didn't like that very much. But like, a lot of us moms and women, we want to be professional. We want to have
Mhm.
do entrepreneurial things and have businesses. And it often, like, sometimes we feel like we have to choose, like, I'm going to be a really successful business person or I'm going to be a really great mom. And sometimes we find ourselves in the position where, like, you're trying to do both and both are not really hitting, like, at the way that you
Yeah.
want them to. And so sometimes we end up sacrificing our careers for our families, right? Because we obviously, it's our family. Sometimes it's the other way around, we end up sacrificing our family for our careers, and neither should happen. You should be able to, especially like when your children are younger and they're growing up, you should be able to mentally live in a place of enough. I never felt like
Yeah.
anything I was doing was enough. I always had to do more, 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 more. And I've changed my mindset to the point where I'm like, now that I know what my priorities are, what I'm doing right now is enough. I don't have to sell
Yeah.
100 homes every year to be enough. And this is my enough right now because this is the season of life that I'm in. And then so the legacy I'd like to leave behind is moms, women, like, it's okay to be in a season of this is enough. And then later be in a season of kicking butt, like maybe when the kids leave the home, right? Like, it's
Yes.
okay to just this is enough. And you don't always, like, sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. Like, you keep chasing, like, what are you chasing, right? Like, it's okay. Like, you can do this, by the way. Like, that's the legacy right there. Like, you can build a business and you can still be a great wife and a great mom and a great friend and a great daughter and a sibling, whatever. Like, you can still be excellent at those things that society expects you to be excellent at and also still have a business. You absolutely can. It's not easy, but you can. And that's what I want to teach as many women, particularly agents, that
Yeah.
as many people as I can, as many people as I can. 'Cause it hurts my heart that women quit this business because this business has changed my
Yeah.
life, changed my, like, and I want to see it change other people's lives in a positive way, in a very
I love
positive
that.
way.
Yeah, fantastic. And what a way to end the episode. And I think I just want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you for being such a valuable contribution to the conversation that we're in. This is our life. This is what's happening now. This is the world we're in, and we need voices like yours to be able to, like you said, give that guidance, give that inspiration, and be able to let people know, and moms and women in particular, this is a fabulous industry for you. And by the way, audience, if you're not in real estate, obviously, if you're corporate, if you're, whatever it is, whatever ladder you're climbing, just know that you can have it all. Your balance is going to be different at different times. But I just think hearing your voice and being able to inspire everyone, which I know you have done so many times in the conversation, I'm so grateful that you joined us here today.
No, thank you. I
Thank you.
really appreciate the opportunity. I'm just so passionate about all of this. So any opportunity I can to just share and talk and teach, I'm like, oh, it just fills my heart so much. And so
Yeah.
thank you. I'm super excited. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope that at least one little nugget that I said helped somebody, just have a mindset shift and change something today. Like, just anything that I said that triggered you, just make a choice to change something today. Like, that thing that's been gnawing at you, just right now, when you quit listening to this, go change that right now. Make a move.
I love it. So good and such a great challenge for our audience. And on that point, audience, don't forget to stay tuned. In a moment, I will go through our episode recap so that you can take away all the points that Michelle has made today and be able to access that worksheet and make changes in your own life. And again, thank you for joining us on Women Who Rise. Well, folks, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on Women Who Rise, the success podcast for ambitious women. Today, Michelle taught us number one, give and ask and repeat. She talked about giving service. If you give acts of service and if you lead with that, it will come back to you. She talked about making sure, number two, to manage your time and play your perfect schedule, plan that out and stick to it. Ultimately, keep promises to yourself. She said if you are putting that schedule together for your perfect day, what component is for family or workout or self-care and work, if you are not doing that, what is so important that you're able to break those promises to yourself? Don't do that. Keep those promises to yourself and reap the benefits and plan those things in advance. Number three, she talked about unchecked ambition and the fact that it can quash the life that you are trying to build for yourself. She talked about going from a mindset of scarcity that is still looping or kind of stuck in your mind, even from prior to your success, and instead being able to acknowledge it is enough. Do I need one more transaction? Do I need one more role in the corporate ladder, or is this enough? Can I be satisfied? And understanding that you can use that as a basis for making decisions in your life. And also understanding life is going to change. If you have kids in the home, you've got them for a very short window of time. 2 decades can go by in a flash. And so understanding that, leading with that abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset, and being able to make conscious, planned choices about how you spend your day, your week, your month, and your year in order to make sure that life itself, the life you really want, is not passing you by while you are going to unchecked ambition due to some scarcity in your mindset. Fourth, she talked about looking at how you are spending your life and your time and to put systems in place and turn your negative thinking off. So if you're going through your day and you're constantly disappointing yourself and you're feeling that you could have done better, or you're feeling that you could have managed your schedule differently, put that schedule in place. Put those systems in place that will support you. Put the tennis shoes by the bed the night before and the workout outfit so that you know you're going to rise and go straight into that workout or whatever challenge or whatever thing it is that you were wanting to do. And put systems in place to take away all of that, negative or critical thinking about, I wish I did this, or I could have done that, or I should have done that, and just make a conscious decision to make a conscious schedule. And then don't lie to yourself. Don't promise and break those promises. Actually do the thing. And like she said, it's really hard, but the benefits far outweigh the challenge or the discomfort or whatever it is of sticking to that schedule. It's simply habits. And so she suggested, obviously, read Atomic Habits. It's one of her favorite books ever. She talks about it all the time. Speaking of books, there will be some links. Please make sure to go to those on our website or below so that you can access our worksheet to help you put these and other takeaways into your daily life. And like Michelle challenged us at the end, take one thing away from this episode and go do it today. Change it today. Change one thing, just one thing from this episode. Make that change today. So please like and subscribe and join us everywhere podcasts are streamed. We can't wait to bring you even more incredible content every week so that you can rise in your own lives and careers. Again, thank you so much. Heather Mansy, signing off.